Right, welcome back. Last time we helped Alungi with war against Servan and basically got all the territory I wanted off of them, which is amazing. As well as Kirdim, so Romania now has all of their core provinces and claims. Planning on eventually pushing them further along to Hungarian territory. Eventually. Though in all honesty, this would be a difficult task because Austria happens to be the Emperor. The Emperor seems to get a massive amount of force limit, let's put it that way, when pushed to war. So I might end up just going further into Naples. I do have to fabricate claims, but I wouldn't get claims anyway from the Italian foothold mission, which I can't get because, well, Vidin exists, and subject of a subject doesn't count for these missions. So, gotta work on Naples. Of course, that mission would also require attacking Aragon, which is in personal union with Castile, who happens to be, well, they're not a great power, per se, but I'd say they'd be ranked 9-ish. Oh, they are great power. Okay, they're rank 3. For some reason, I didn't see the glow. Yeah, I didn't stick long enough to see the glow. But they're rank 3 on the great powers list. The Mamluks no longer they're not a great power anymore. Yeah. I think I'm 3rd in global development score. Great power rating before institutions are calculated. After, I'm 2nd, because China is ridiculously hard to beat without getting all the institutions. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. After I embrace casual literacy, I'll jump up again in rating. But yeah, let's get to it. Oh, and we also made a major reform. We now have an aristocracy rather than a nobility. This means the nobles are now rather disloyal due to major reductions in their power. Base power, anyway. And we'll slowly reduce that even further. Although weakening them further is difficult. Among other things, I'm going to need to do other reforms here. I would hope to reduce the amount of... well, to increase the amount of peasant freedom in order to further reduce the amount of income they extort from the lower classes. Specifically the peasantry. Good time for internal politics. I just wonder when all the stuff expires, because I remember, yeah, missing a few days. Because I screwed up keyboard stuff. There we go. Right. Strategic marriage. I guess I can disown an unpopular relative, I mean... I've got lots of legitimacy. Might start using that more often. Right, and the burghers and the clergy, theirs is a 10-year timer. Now the question is, do I want to pass reforms? The only thing I can do is to reform sovereign law and rotate all 10 years for administrators. The thing is, I don't have enough power to grab tech right now. I want to ensure that that's possible when, well, in 5 years from now. So, there's a plus 50% modifier due to ahead of time that will disappear. That's 200 points. So that puts it down to 368. It would be enough. And I also plan on embracing casual literacy, which will reduce it by another 17%. Well, 17.5%. Paradox tends to truncate, not round. So 17.5%. The easy thing is, because it's 400, 2.5% is 10. So that is 70 points. So the cost in total will reduce by 270 compared to what it would be if I were to try it now. So the total cost would be a little less than 300. 298 to be precise. I currently have 433 power. So yeah, those reforms will not break anything, though the minus 20 elite loyalty probably will cause problems. Especially if I decide to try rotating all 10 years for administrators, which would be a minus 25. Reforming sovereign law will, however, reduce global autonomy and increase base welfare, in order to help make up for the fact that systematic rotation is going to come around. It's also going to dramatically increase provincial corruption too. Would get me better stability, which might be helpful in the current situation, although the cost of stability might not be worth it, because it does mean I will burn stability in the process of doing that. Or I can simply try to get the nobility happy again. On the other hand, doing this reform will push aristocratic influence down somewhat, even if only somewhat. Then again, if I were to work on it, I could get the faction influence down via other means, specifically by repealing, court titles, aristocratic hierarchy. Yeah. Of course, aristocratic hierarchy also means that power shifts faster towards the resting point, as well as loyalty. In most cases, though, the loyalty is kind of a bad thing. The power's kinda It's very much questionable whether or not it's helpful. If I reduce autonomy, that would help. It would also make the bureaucracy more expensive, but also more powerful. Okay, let me just check a couple things before I make any more decisions. This will give me 15 loyalty. Oh, I can also overlook tenant abuse. That's something I forgot to do. Gets me plus 5 loyalty. Okay, so loyalty is at 63. I can get another 10 more by the reform, well, by increasing their influence. Dropping them down to 33% isn't great, but it's achievable. Of course, working towards freeing the peasants would be way better, but it might be something that needs to wait. Yeah, this will reduce their power now. Somewhat. So, let's go ahead and do that. And promote their faction again. Oh yeah, it is plus 15, not plus 10. And then I could do this, marry an aristocratic consort, but fine. Getting their loyalty up fast again is going to be helpful. So I'll continue to do that. Right, let's get to it. Got plenty of claims, and they're gonna expire at some point. Okay, it's gonna be a while before they expire, but I don't have any aggressive expansion within Europe, so... Right. Friuli is... tiny, right? Best way to check is through this screen. Yep. Burgundy is pretty big, and actually has more troops than Naples, but not that many. Padua has not become the powerhouse that it was in the Dithmarschen campaign, so... Although it definitely looks like they're starting to expand within the rest of Europe. Which is kind of scary, but... I'm sure I'll be able to nip them in the bud if absolutely necessary. Right, let's send you up here just in case. Because I've noticed that Burgundy has a habit of marching through Ukraine to get to Crimea and the Caucasus. And of course, the general sieging just died. It's a bit light. That wasn't a wipe, but it was close. Might be enough to convince them that yes, peace is the best option. That's everything I want for the time being, so you can always grab more later. Or fabricate more claims. Yep, that certainly changed the name of a few provinces. And had the spy network not died recently, would have allowed me to fabricate a few claims. Though not on Naples itself. It's a bit too deep. Really inconvenient, isn't it? Haven't been able to fabricate a claim on that. A bit different, but... Okay, that timing is way too perfect. I don't normally pause it on the 3rd of January. Usually it ends up being the 4th. Right. It's gonna cost a lot of cash, but it'll be worth it. Right, with casual literacy I get minus 0.01 autonomy. That's very little. Very, very little. It reduces the resting point by 0.66%. It also gives me 5 more years of separatism, so every province that I recently conquered just gets plus 1.6 unrest. Woo. As well as plus 10% global institution spread and another 10% in true faith provinces. Which are most of my provinces. At least the important ones. Right. It also removes the plus 7... Wow. The increased penalty for debt cost. I remember it being plus 70%, but apparently it's plus 30%. Maybe I was looking at the wrong thing. Or maybe it's shifted the wrong way. I don't know. But now everything's really cheap. Head librarians, yearly corruption minus 0.02%. The Royal Exchange, trade efficiently plus 0.5%, name morale plus 0.1, enables a bunch of ship types. Pistolas, Land attrition minus 5%, combat with +2, cavalry fire plus 0.1, that's not helpful, and infantry shock plus 0.15. As well as 100 bullets Frankish engines, but those aren't mine. They're probably Western European. So the next institution is scientific methods, which apparently is already being invented. What? I'm on tech 37. Oh, okay. But it's not on the list yet, so it's going to be a while before that starts to have an effect. Yeah, that's nice. Right. Centralism, casual literacy, no honors. And it's number of academic districts -4 divided by 2. Yeah, it's really simple. And it's also going to reduce tech costs once embraced. But it'll start spreading my capital province. For sure, plus in a couple other provinces where I have academic districts to a reasonable degree. I mean, I've got 48 districts here, so spread's going to be relatively fast. The exact amount is variable dependent on conditions, as everything else is. Though I probably could check the areas where it's already starting to spread, and use that to guesstimate. Let's see here. Nizza is getting it at 0.7 per month. The number of academic districts they have is almost 8. Which seems about right. I mean, they also have a plus 75%. Gotta remember that. Padua has a plus in Padova, has a plus 114% spread. And the number of academic districts they have is 52. They have more academic districts than I have. So given all those conditions, I don't expect more than 1 per month at the most. No, not even that. Does seem like there's an upper limit. It's 0.26 plus 0.13 plus 0.01, but no plus 0.53. Yeah, I think whatever does the base value isn't properly working. Yeah, it mentions it's going to be a lot slower than it should be. The other one is Siena, which also has the same amount. Okay. I mean, my spread is a plus 100%, so plus 75%, but it's not plus 114%. Major center of learning probably is the main source of that. Catholic and member of the HREs, as well as exchange of custom. That sounds like an idea. Yeah. It's probably the fact that they're a member of the HRE. That's really the thing. Yeah, it's literally the fact that they're... It's that. It's literally just that. Plus some minor variables with stability and corruption. But this seems like a good point to stop after I've done the... yeah, okay. 8th of January is when it expires. Once I've done the internal politicking. The aristocrats are just too influential to try that. This lowers it by 5. That's 60 loyalty, though. They don't like this, but I don't like it either, because it gives them even more power weight for siphons, which means they get even more money. Of course, I also get more tax money, but... What I don't need right now is manpower. I've got plenty of that. Making sure it's more efficient would be way better. Plus it reduces the feudal levy, so... That probably would increase the amount of peasant labor available for working, which would increase my agricultural output. So, if I do anything, it's going to be this. It's probably going to be pricey on the loyalty. But so are so many other things. Well, okay. I'm going to do this stuff regardless, so I may as well. There we go. Right. Arrange a strategic marriage. I want to see how high I can get the loyalty. That will help me get be able to make a decision. Yeah, possession of the ancient liberties, fine. I'm not promoting lesser nobility, though. That is way too much. It gives them way too much power. I need their power to be reasonably weak. When bureaucratic high influence is high enough, it's going to be high enough regardless of whether or not I do that. Okay, it's important enough to do it. 40 loyalty, yikes. Yeah, it looks like the amount of loyalty is the amount displeased -1 times 10. With parentheses around the -1. And, yeah. Just to ensure order of operations, they're respected and all that. Anyway. Can't really afford to lose 10 legitimacy, but I have to. Promote the aristocratic faction to get their loyalty back up. Yikes. Yikes. But this opens up new reforms. Specifically, centralizing the military. Which means that army professionalism is going to go way up. Professionalism. It also means I get less troops, but that's not that important. I've got enough manpower to protect myself and all that, so... As long as I don't try going up against Spain or something. Or, worst of all, China, but... Any attempt at preparing for China is doomed to fail. At least at this stage of the game. If you're near China, be prepared to be invaded or turned into a tributary state. You're not going to have any other choice. But yeah. It's a good point to stop. I've been doing a lot of stuff on the nobility. I've lowered their autonomy, and now reformed to career soldiery. After that, it's just more and more work at bureaucratizing the army and moving it away from a noble system. Well, an aristocratic system, yeah. Calling it a noble system makes it seem better than it actually is. So the nobility should be weaker, and my autonomy should improve. At least in certain areas. I also went ahead and embraced casual literacy, which I just showed that off. I can skip the stuff that I just did, after all. I also declared war on Naples because, well, aggressive expansion, while high down here, is pretty much 0 over here, so may as well take advantage of that. And it only produced 7 aggressive expansion with these Middle Eastern countries, which, given my improved relations value, is gone in 2 years. So it just sets me 2 years back in waiting for the Mamluks and whatnot. Because the last thing I need is a massive coalition in the Middle East to threaten my interests. But I still need to build up spy network to go up against Damascus, for example. Alpha is starting to become scary. But they're technologically weak, just like practically everyone else I fight. Yeah. Yeah. Jeez, why is everyone so far behind? Yeah. Like Padua is pretty much the only one that's at tech level 37. Yeesh. Technological superiority. Yeah. I got another hunting accident, which is great, so now I've got a random ruler. Which is bad because my legitimacy is next to 0. At the very least, that means my legitimacy will go fast, but autonomy is going to be bad for a long while until I can get legitimacy up. I could probably do this, but that's really expensive, and it's gonna get me my, well, after 10 years, 2 legitimacy. The actual quantity of years is 13. Or 12, depending on how you count it. 13. So, that's not very much. I could try getting the aristocrats to do that, which will get me a lot more, but... It's really expensive in loyalty. Fine. I absolutely need a legitimacy that they can provide. Savoy's got a coalition against them. Jeez. Castile has 5 colonies already. England just ate Scotland. Yikes. Bavaria did form though, so that's interesting. Certainly didn't happen last time. And Burgundy's pushing their way south. Or at least they... Okay, the stuff probably was taken by them earlier. They're not part of the HRE though. Yeah. And Iran is falling into war again. Yet again. Alpha is certainly starting to push their way into Luristan and all that. And I still have to deal with with leftover Kurdistan and Ayyubids. I do want to head my way down the Levant. After all, controlling the trade here is going to be the Levantine Sea. The trade there is going to be pretty important. Of course, I am going to have to go down Halab and all that. That's why I'm building up the Spino, though, so I can fabricate a claim, so that when I'm ready, I can go up against Damascus and start striking my way south. And give myself a border with the Mamluks again, or well, if you ignore Ramazan. Yeah, eventually I'm gonna have to go down via Al-Quds. Although the Holy Land itself, I'm going to have to fabricate claims on. I'm not going to get claims from the mission tree, so yeah. But that's long term. Oh, and the Reformation happened, so there's still Ramova within Lithuania itself. But they've immediately turned Protestant, Lutheran. Yeah, the Reformation happened, so Prussia's now a thing. And fun stuff is happening. Brittany went Lutheran. And so did England. As did Burgundy. Yeah, like I said, fun stuff. Of course, this will barely affect me because, yeah. Yeesh. And now I can look and see. Yeah, Muscovy is gone. They're completely gone. Wow. Though it does look like Austria's going to be busy for a while. Might be able to make my way in there. Yeah. But that's good enough for now. I'll see you again next time. Until then, bye.